I'm filming a video and I figured it'll be a knitting and talking video, and then uh if there's time I'll put a mini haul at the end, and I might gradually show stuff. I thought that it would be maybe something where I could talk about like specific things that I've been asked. I have different social media. I don't go on social media super often, and if I do, I am mainly posting videos or like my I something that I created or in the progress, the finished product. Um, and there's other times where I answer questions. I did talk about selling products, but I gave my answer on that. And today I was also asked on one of my social medias if I were to do like a commission project, and I'm still thinking about it. Well, it hasn't been long, but I'm still thinking about it. The topic that I figured that I would talk about today is geared towards tarot, because I still get asked some tarot questions, and I was messaged uh, like an overview question on finding out of print decks and like the resources that you could use. So I'll start, I guess, knitting and talking. I might do more of talking or I might do more of knitting. But I gave like three examples, and that's of like sources, and I said eBay, Amazon, and Etsy. I would say that I have gotten the most out of print decks from eBay. I feel that it's uh it's an area where you can, well, you kind of notice when there's listings of the same item from different sellers, that some of them go off of what the others are selling. Some of them may collect tarot, some of them might not collect tarot, so you can kind of find those distinctions in some ways. Like if a person doesn't really read tarot, this is more of an Amazon experience too, but sometimes on Amazon it's really vague. Like if you have like the third party seller section and it's new and used, and um, it's, I would say it is a site that I wouldn't usually go on to find out of print decks, because that section is one that it has like kind of vague information, and sometimes I feel like they have different categories of like things to say, like to like specify on what exactly the condition is, and even that is like vague. And sometimes if they're not a reader, they might just sell you the book. And even on eBay, they might just sell you the book, but there's a better chance that you'll see exactly what you're getting sold because there's more pictures. I would say with Amazon, with third party sellers, when I was looking for them, the decks, I didn't see pictures. And then there was like vague information of what you were receiving, and sometimes um it would say that it would be like maybe um it might kind of indicate that you would receive at least a set, and then you purchase it, and then it ends up just being a book. um I got really lucky and I might totter back and forth from like eBay to Amazon because I got lucky off of Amazon. I was in a bidding war with for the Fairy Wicca Tarot, and on eBay, one of the listings that I was comfortable with at least when I first started bidding for it, and it might be like nice for you to see if you could get your deck for a lower price than what you're looking for. Of course, it's good to give someone the money that can help with like some compensation for it. That sometimes people are trying to pass on the deck, and some decks maybe at that time multiple people are looking for, and sometimes it's not the time for that. So I was looking for the Fairy Wicca, and there was some listings for it. And then when I was doing a bidding war, the thing that you figure out quickly with the bidding wars is that if someone's really keen on purchasing that item and winning the bidding war, um, you might think that you're winning in the beginning when no one's really like it's kind of silent, and especially if like maybe you're just up against like one um person that's kind of wanting to buy the deck. Um, at the very last seconds, like literally the last 10 seconds when it does the countdown, if they're familiar with it, they'll bid at the very last second, last couple seconds, and when you think that you're winning, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I just lost. So for that selling, it was for the deck and the booklet. So this was the mini set, and I was kind of like bummed because I was like, man, I wanted that deck specifically. Um, I love fairies. I love like the Celtic traditions that go into it. Um, with Llewellyn, the publisher, I feel like they publish on specific days, and one of the days is my birthday. So it was special because there were some sources that said it was on my birthday, other sources that said it wasn't. I didn't double check the book, but I went back to Amazon, or I was on Amazon at that point, and I was in the new and used section with a vague description saying you really tried to read into what it was saying. And it was at a price that I was looking for. So with out of print decks back in the day, it used to be around like $60 what that it would kind of go off of would be a general price that you would find, well, starting off for out of print decks. I feel like, well, depending on what the deck is, it might be like an increased price. Um, and I think it's more increased, sorry, because even the mass-produced decks these days, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with the mass-produced decks, um, the prices have increased a lot for them, at least since I like collected the decks more. And it's been it's been a couple years since had I shopped more for decks nowadays. But there is a wide range too, but I would say generally that would be a starting point. Sometimes it's less than that, sometimes it's around 40, but um you can find decks over $100. You can find decks that are well over a couple $100. So, an example is this deck. So this deck isn't the one I'm specifically talking about. I've shown this before. So this is the Russian edition of the um Oh my God. Victorian Fairy Tarot. And I use this one specifically because I have the English version. In the English version, the last time, which was not too long ago, that I saw um like a listing for it, it was over $300. So that one is currently out of print. And sometimes they do come back in print, so you can look at that. Um, I let's see. So to go back to the story, I was still looking for the Fairy Wicked Tarot, and I saw a listing on Amazon. I was thinking it would be a hit or miss, but the price wasn't so high that I feel like I could cut the loss if I just got the book instead. But when it arrived, I was pleasantly surprised. It was like meant to be because I ended up getting the larger set. So sometimes decks have like mini sets or they have like the mini booklet with the deck. I ended up getting like the full size book. It was like the larger set, sorry, the larger set and the deck. Um, the larger book had more details and the journeying for this tarot deck. And so I feel that if you're looking on Amazon for an out of print deck, I think it's you would have to really look or interpret or even ask what exactly they're trying to sell you because you could easily just get a book and you paid X amount for just like basically half of what you're looking for. Another example of somebody that might not be a reader is if they don't give you the full set of cards. So say like there's a card or two missing and you're like, that's great that majority of the deck is there, but I would definitely prefer having the full deck, especially if this deck is like hard to find and if you find another source that's like a full deck. I mean, of course, it might vary in price, but you're not gonna go somewhere else to just find like the remaining two cards that you don't have in that collection. And it can be what you're able, the things that like you're able to find in your region. So, um, I have a good friend in Estonia, and we have swapped decks multiple times. And she always gives me like extra gifts, and I always feel like, oh my God, you give me like way too much stuff, in the best way, because I feel bad because I feel like I like give her stuff and then she like showers me with everything. So she's able to get certain decks at like I'm assuming a much cheaper price, because it's like more easily or commonly obtainable in her area than it is to have it in the US. So I'm, of course, I'm friends with her in general, but it's also nice to have a friend that can do that for you too. Um, so I would say that with eBay and Etsy, they really focus on the presentation and also the reviews. There's reviews on Amazon, but I feel like it's more present on eBay and on Etsy. So I think that eBay is a little more laid back, and sometimes I feel like you can go through and find those hidden treasures too. I love like out of print or unique or like I love thrifting, like those types of things. So when I see out of print decks, I like to see well if I would gravitate towards it and what would be something that I'm willing to put towards it. And you might have to check periodically for things, but um, like for Etsy, I feel like it's more expensive than eBay. It's already known to be like a handmade type of website. I love handmade things. I love the love and care that goes into it, well, into the items. It's full on presentation. It's really a present thing for reviews to be good for the small shops. And I feel like it's also more expensive, especially like maybe if it's an independent seller and in general, like selling decks or selling other things. Same with finding lower costs. Like if you find like a box store, they usually have lower costs because of how they're contracted with different sources. Like if you're thinking about pharmacy, like a mom and pop's pharmacy, sometimes like depending on what the drug is, if it's a a drug that is more readily available or a drug that is um it's like is more pricey. There's that, like if you're paying out of pocket, sometimes like if you run it through insurance companies, more of them are geared towards box stores, box pharmacies, because that's how they're contracted and they struck a deal with them. And so sometimes the insurance will reject it because they want you to go to that type of pharmacy. And so it's unfortunate, but some people would go to the box pharmacy mainly because that's where they're covered in. Sometimes it's like you can't pay that price that like if you had to pay it out of pocket, but if you're covered somewhere, then you can get it covered and pay that price because you're already paying into your policy. Because you might have your deductible, and then you could have a copay depending on what it is. There's other variables that go into like the prices of the medication, but in general, the pharmacy would have to pay for the medication, and this is what the payout would be or what they're willing to sell or um, give the medication for after receiving the prescription. So hopefully that didn't come out to not what I was trying to do, but um, and then for the PBMs, the pharmacy benefits manager, once you see if it's covered through insurance, the pharmacy isn't setting those prices. It's the PBMs that are setting those prices for your medications, and then uh, we'll tell you if this medication is in your formulary. So the formulary is the list of medications that your insurance is willing to pay for. So if the medication isn't there, then the insurance isn't um, going to pay for it at at that time. But you could try to see if you could send it to your insurance and explain why you need this medication or you need this strength or you're getting more than what they're willing to pay for if you already gotten the medication, to see if there's like a little bit of an override for that. There could be a back and forth with it. So, um, but it wouldn't be the patient, it would be the um the doctor. So there's a lot of different types of communication there, but going back to Etsy, so I just went off track with that. Um, the cost could be higher because of the supplies and how like the payout is with that, and also the time too. Um, that's what I was also thinking because like it also gets expensive when you're like or it gets expensive with the supplies and then the time put into making this. And even for branded medication, I don't know, like Eliquiz, and you have the scientists in the lab, and now it's an extremely high price if you aren't um, insured or if you don't have a coupon to go with it, because it's all of those times when the scientist was, this is part of it. Like if they spent X amount of time in the lab and it's paying for all of that time and those, the costs like to do these preparations to finally come out with this medication. So, um, all that to say that Etsy's, it tends to be more expensive, but the presentation, like with all of the things that, like the details that are needed to inform the buyer of what exactly that they're getting, is something that is important to the seller, because you could really see the Etsy reviews and, sorry, I'm just doing, well, I'm knitting a sleeve and I'm doing some increases on the sleeve. So I'm on an increase round, actually in the last one. And just to say, I bought the last of this Alapaslopi because this is what it's made out of, or the sweater that I'm making. So I got the cream. Sorry, did I already mention this? I got the last of the pink that I needed. So this is in the colorway 1239 in the pink, and it's all the same dye lot. I hope I didn't say this already. And color 51 dye lot 0231. And I feel like if you do find something that is out of your price range or something that you're wanting to pay for, maybe you don't have a price range for it and you're willing to pay for stuff, there is also things that you could possibly do if you want to buy it off of Etsy. And there's different sources, like for Etsy, there's Klarna, and you can do like 4 installments. You have to pay a price up front, and then you have the rest of the installments. So that might be four altogether. And then like other sites, they might have like Shopify. I don't know if they do installments, but it's always advertised on Etsy. So you, I'm not saying whether to do it or whether not to do it, but it might be something to consider if that's what you're going for. Let me get a stitch marker because I'm going to mark where my increase is. And I'll see if I have other points that maybe I'll talk about. But since I got questions on it, and I mean, I got questions on tarot. I My tarot journey is a little different now, but I'm still reading. And I feel like when I first got into tarot, it definitely wasn't how it is now. It's in fact, I felt like it was more taboo back in the day, and now it's there. It's in a lot of places, and that's nice. So, my switch markers. maybe I could do a reading here, but I've been doing my other readings, well, my Ukrainian readings on my other channel. If I were to sell products, I think I would like to sell leather products. Um, I want to do fur collars. I feel like that would be really nice. And using different animal fibers for that too. And if I were to sell knitted stuff, I feel like it would be more of like the accessories or the smaller items. I was thinking about knitting um mini pouches. I feel like they're like becoming a go-to for me because it's a little easier for my time and for what I'm trying to accomplish. I let me see. And as I was mentioning that Etsy is a place for quality, so that's also where the price comes from. And you can also see if you could go on these websites and other websites too that sells decks or other products that you're looking for to find what you're looking for, like if it's a deck that is more accessible in other countries. I don't know, maybe like a low Scarabeo deck, because there's some low Scarabeo decks that are out of print. Um, yeah, I think I went over a good amount of the stuff. I was just seeing maybe if I said anything else that might be relevant to the video. So it's, for me, it's like a shorter video. So let me show you what, um, oh, let me show the fabrics. I was really considering getting the vintage Singer sewing machine. I know it's another heavy thing, but I don't think it'll be like one of my main items, but it would be nice to have a sewing machine right now. I do have one in my storage unit 'cause I mean, I might go back to my storage unit in a month, maybe. But I like the sewing machine that I have, and there's definitely nothing wrong with it. I just like the vintage quality. It's lasted, and it sparks something in me. Like it makes me want to have like, or just like follow through with ideas that I have. So I'm thinking about it. It's good that I'm on the last increase, and now I'm just gonna do a couple more rounds and I'll be able to connect everything for those who haven't been on this bubblegum pink journey for this sweater. This is the first sleeve. I just have it on other needles that I use for the ribbing because I didn't have my DPNs and I don't use this size often, so I didn't buy other DPNs this size. But I have my size 10s that I have been using, so this is the first one, and then this is the second one. Since it's using a Lava Slopey, it's not going to be too long before I I finish. So it's just making sure that I did exactly the same thing for each side. So that's what I have. So about like this much to go. And then I have the body. These are the other colors for the colorwork portion. And then, I don't know, my voice, it's just like going right now. Um, so I'll start attaching that these are the needles that I'm actually going to be using for the project and for the rest of the project. And then I'm hoping to finish this by next week. So this is a sleeve and then oh, and then this. I'm happy that I'm getting this done myself. Of course, I'm not saying that the price isn't worth it for like when you buy these sweaters, like in by like the people that are knitting it, they're a couple of $100 and again, it takes a lot of time to do them. Luckily, this is a bulky sweater, so it's not taking me too long to knit it. Well, it's taking a month, about a month-ish. No, yeah, yeah, because I feel like I'm gonna finish it next week. So it'll be about a month because I started this like it was around the 16th or it was on the 16th. It was a Saturday. And now it's just, it's not going to take too much longer. Like, I'm excited to get back into the color work portion of it. I'll see where I could block this and have it not be in the way. But overall, I'm really happy with how the progress is. I think if I get the sewing machine that I really want, then I I'll will most likely just end up with the main sewing machine with me, but I might have to get a converter if I move with it, um, or adapter that converts the voltage, like I did with my electric spinning wheel, only for America. And um, that'll be another thing, but I have to see what type of cord, or like if I could just switch out the cords. So I'll see. Um, I did see a mini, like, mending sewing machine that you could just, like, it's literally like a traveling one. And I showed my best friend, and she's like, well, you'll need a sewing machine now, and because I want to do more crafting. And so you could get your other sewing machine later. And I'm like, this is why we're best friends. Because she's not gonna be like, why would you do that? And we kind of just are like, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad I asked you. Like I said, let me show you the fabrics that I got because I wanted to make some bandanas. Um, it's one of the main things, but I did want to make some other clothing too. I don't know if I'm going to do that here because apparently I'm gonna travel with like half well, I guess it's all personal, but half like belongings of clothing and such, and then the other half I'll have like equipment that I'm carrying with me. Luckily, I tried to get like stuff that was at least somewhat compact. So these are the swatches that I have because majority of them are a yard, one's half a yard. I felt like these would be really quaint. Um, I don't know if I'm going to do them all like a square, and I was thinking if I would line it on the inside, I could do both with the same thing because I was like also thinking would I do one of one and one of the other, but then I was like I didn't want anything to be peeping through on either side. So I feel like I either line it with something completely different or because if I turn it over, it's still not gonna um it might be visible for the other stuff to show, and I don't want that. So I got this one. I was like just like looking at like putting it against my head and seeing what I would like. I felt like this would be like a classic look. I don't know what you call it because I see it's not a shawl. It's like the ones that you have over your head. I mean, I guess you could put a shawl over your head. So I got this one. It's a little bolder. I really like the next two are the ones that I feel go with me the most. So there was this one. It's a different it's a different pattern, but I got this one. And I feel like that really goes with me. So, um, and this one. This one goes with me. I feel like this shade specifically does. And this one's a half a yard, so if I am going to do like prototypes of what exactly I was gonna try to accomplish, I might do that with other ones aside from my half yard one because I mean half a yard isn't nothing, but these are like mini things. Then the last one because I got a lot of floral ones, I got this one and I thought that would be like really baby because I'm going for like my baby look. It's my baby phase right now. And or like a doll type of there's like a gothic part and just a lot of pink and there's been blue too. There's a lot of things going on, but it's just what I'm feeling at the time. So it'll be exciting. I kind of was just thinking if I was gonna go like just buy the one sewing machine, I would go like all in. When I bought my last sewing machine, I don't dislike it. There's definitely nothing wrong with the sewing machine. Um, I just feel like I'm really intentional and picky with what I have around me. And if I feel that it's not something that's connecting to me in that way, and I don't gravitate towards it or use it, then I don't really see a point of having it with me. And something's just like not sparking the inspiration. Like, my spinning wheels spark inspiration because I did want a wooden one, and I did want an electric one. Um, Eventually, I do. Well, the main one that I was looking for was like a castle wheel, and that would be something that is like the dreamy wheel. And I love my wheels. Definitely love how like utilitarian my electric spinning wheel is. Like it's gonna crank out like some heavy shit because it holds exactly how much I want it to hold, and it is straightforward. I feel like I am super consistent with it, and I love it. With the other with the Pippi spinning wheel, which I adore too. It's super special to me. It's my first wheel that I was acclimated to. And um, with these antique wheels, I feel like with all the wheels too, and a lot of things that you do, you really see, like, as you move forward with working with it, you see what it does. And there's some things that they're kind of like characteristics or specific things to that wheel. So the whirl is like a lot different than other whirls that I've seen. I'm not saying it's something that like they don't make like that, but it's not the most typical. And I was, it didn't come with the manual or anything, so eventually I found it online, and I I did figure out how to take the whirl off because it was like it's definitely not something that you twist off. And there's a manual for the BEP, the electric spinning wheel, that um, I'll figure out if I want to just translate the whole thing. But it's been working for me. I want to make sure that every craft that I do, like everything that I do, it's with intention, and that and of course there's like some spontaneity for different things, but I just want to feel it. Like I want to feel everything. I feel like I am uh I'm a lot. Um I feel like that's how it was when like growing up with me, and I feel like even now in some ways that if you interacted with me when I was younger, you would just kind of feel the spirit because I would have every emotion. And when I would express whatever emotion, I would express it to the fullest. And I just felt like it was full of life and that I was full of life in some ways, or I guess in all ways. And I feel like I do express myself still in different ways, but uh, now it's just how it is. And sometimes I felt like it was a lot, so I think to the people that have felt that any type of emotion that I've expressed and have lived to tell the tale, that's that's what? It's not something that's just I don't think I think I'm me, and that's it. I don't think I have much to say in this video right now, but I'm just trying to get through this. I'll see if I'm gonna do the commission. I don't know, but I just want to feel the excitement. And yeah, of course, you could feel the excitement through yourself, but I feel like there's also the like the flow of everything around you too. And if you can have it the way that you're feeling the flow should be like, then why not? It's funny because I went to knit night tonight and I was talking about the spinning wheel. And one person's like, well, at least you know yourself. Because I was like, clearly, this isn't something that I need to do right now. I don't need to get something else that's like, um, gonna be another addition. But I feel like I could maybe, well, I don't need to carry the other not spinning wheel, the other sewing machine if I have one that I feel like I could do everything with. And as she was mentioning that Britain's coming out with like, or I feel like it's going to be in Britain, that there's a show that'll be knitting crochet based, and I think it's like one of those bake off things only with knitting. And someone else is like to this person like, oh, sign up, and then the person that was talking about like the show, she's like, they'll just be bleeping me like the whole time because with all like the curse words and everything. And the thing is, I do have some decks in my storage unit, and I have some decks that are with me. I I have gradually, well, I try to keep a certain number so I don't have all of them, but I feel like it's like books, only it's different and it's their decks. So the ones that I have kept, um, I just don't take out them as frequently because, well, I'm doing specific readings right now. I'm doing the Ukrainian readings, and um, if I can, I try not to take stuff out of storage or like even like the stuff that's in like the trunk where I have it organized in a certain way. So, um, my other decks that I carry are still there, like mainly like the fairy and the angel ones are ones that I've used recently. I haven't really read with angel decks until recently. And oh, I did like I was in the middle of like being asleep and waking up, and usually stuff happens when that's like that because I saw like a being that was just like staring at me like in the at the end of my bed. And it wasn't an unfamiliar one. And I felt like maybe it could have been angelic because of the way the presence was, and it was like almost like a whitish being, but then there was like a golden light that emitted. It was almost like emitting like inside and out type of light. So, mm, uh, it hasn't been so bad. I still haven't seen my brother. Well, the printer is here, and I definitely noticed the printer was here because I was like, oh, the printer is here. Maybe I'll just like print some stuff. I feel like that's what it is. Like when people see the stuff that I've printed it in different places that I could print stuff at. And my brother like printed things because I just saw it going off before I started filming. And he was like, "Can you put the pictures or can you put like the papers on the dining room table? Thanks." And that was it. And eventually, I guess he got them. So I did my laundry. If you could see what I'm wearing, it's just like it's because my laundry isn't dry, or it's in the dryer right now. Um, but I'm not gonna get my stuff until like tomorrow anyway. I don't care. I did a little bit of grocery. I didn't like do like what the grocery shopping that I used to do, but I did get some stuff because I was like, well, now I have a kitchen that I kind of go into because I usually don't go into people's kitchens like that. But my brother's like obviously family, and there tends to be that type of thing there where I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna use your kitchen. I mean, I try not to like make a mess of things, and so I don't think he's like he has a sweet tooth like me because he had like a sweet section and he it looked like he barely touched it, so I've been kind of like um taking the stuff out. So, and not too much stuff, just here and there. Because I see like the stuff that he really goes for on the daily, and then I don't end up touching those things because like I'm not I'm not going to. But okay, I think I'll just making sure I did everything. I'm getting antsy because I do want to connect these things because I've been kind of slowing down a little bit on it because I gradually would buy the yarn because I mean it's a full length sweater and it's it's not the cheapest product, but it's definitely not the most expensive. And so for this sweater, it was like it's like using around 900 grams. Each skein is 100 grams. So that's another thing of where the price comes from too, aside from maybe how long it'll take. And I mean, it could take longer if I wasn't mainly knitting, but I'm definitely knitting a lot. And then my godmother wanted me to, there's like this club that has like, I don't know if it's necessarily a knitting group, but it's a crafting group, but I don't, um, it's, I don't know what you would call it. It's a house, but it's not like a house like a necessarily a family home, but um you know how like I think golf places, I don't even know what you call them. They have those club things. It's kind of like that type of building. And apparently they meet on Tuesdays too, but I think in the morning time. So maybe I could just make Tuesdays like a full-on crafting day. But I really like how the meetup for um the knit night is like at a time where if I was working like 9 to 5, it would be still doable to go there. Because I love the last fiber club that I was in. I think I might find one here too. I don't know how long I would stay in it, um but they did like the meetings, but they would do it like 10 in the morning, and I was like, I couldn't make any of the meetings. And then I would go to the events because they were on the weekends, and that was the main interaction. But because I was there, I was able to get so much like I was like learning things, and it sparked interest in all the fiber arts and my spinning wheels because I have another flax wheel that you could technically still use, but um I don't have it on me. It's in my storage unit. It's like the main quote of the year. It's in my storage unit. But thank you guys so much for watching. Maybe that was like a helpful video. I don't know. I don't usually make these videos anymore, and I feel kind of bad, but I feel like my focus is really on making different art, and um, there's I try to see if I can combine them. Not as much lately, but maybe if I want to do more with tarot. But I'll see you in another video. Bye.